My name is Madison. I'm sitting in a taxi, my eyes fixed on the rear-view mirror as the house I once shared with my late husband, Henry, fades from sight. It's a house we built with our own hands, filled with memories that now seem under threat. This morning, I was about to embark on my first trip since Henry passed away. I stood on the landing with my suitcase, thinking that this short getaway would be a step towards moving on. My son, Lucas, had come by earlier to give me a quick hug and then left for work. His wife, Olivia, stayed behind, saying she'd lock up and turn off the stove. I didn't suspect a thing and went upstairs to grab the red shawl Henry gave me on our anniversary. That's when I heard her voice. It drifted up from the kitchen, low at first, then clear as day. She'll be gone soon. Call the movers as soon as she leaves. We'll take the master bedroom. She can use the small guest room downstairs. It'll be more convenient for everyone. My heart sank. I leaned forward, hardly breathing, as she continued, make sure they bring a big truck. Her furniture can go to the garage. Once our stuff is in, it'll feel like home. She won't object. The shawl slipped from my hand and brushed my feet. I was in shock. My own daughter-in-law was planning to take over my house while I was away. A quiet determination welled up inside me. I walked downstairs quietly. Olivia turned, smiling as if nothing had happened. All set for your trip? She asked. I didn't answer. I just opened the front door and got into the waiting taxi. As the taxi pulled away, I felt a strange calm, but it didn't last. A familiar ache started to rise in my throat, the same one that had haunted me since Henry's death. Grief and betrayal are like thieves, stealing away parts of you before you even realize it. Before Henry's sudden heart attack on a cold winter morning, I was a different person. I was the one who cooked big family dinners on Sundays and took long walks with our old dog, Max. Henry had a laugh that could light up the whole house. His presence made every day feel important. When he died, the house didn't just go quiet, it felt empty, as if it was waiting for him to come back. Lucas tried to help. He came by almost every weekend after the funeral, fixing things that didn't really need fixing and bringing groceries. And he brought Olivia. At first, I was grateful. She was always polite, arriving with a pie or a bouquet of flowers, as if she was trying to fit into a role she wasn't sure about. Grief makes you accept kindness, even when it feels a bit off. I remember the first time Olivia offered to organize my kitchen cabinets. It was just a few weeks after Henry passed. She stood there, hands on her hips, looking around like a professional organizer. You have so much space here, Madison. You should use it better. Let me help. Before I could say anything, she had already moved half of my dishes onto the counter. Lucas smiled at me, saying it would only take a minute. I let her do it, telling myself it didn't matter. But that night, when I couldn't find the mug Henry always used, I felt a pang of sadness. I pushed those feelings down for months. There was the time they brought over some storage boxes, saying they didn't have enough space in their apartment. I told myself it was just temporary. Young couples have struggles, and Henry would have wanted me to be helpful. Then came my birthday. Lucas and Olivia insisted on having a small dinner at my house. They arrived early. Olivia was carrying bags of decorations, and Lucas had a cake box. I could hear them whispering in the living room as I set the table. When I walked in, Olivia had already moved my old wooden chairs to make room for a folding table she brought from their place. This will be better for everyone, she said with a bright smile. Your chairs are nice, but a bit old-fashioned. It wasn't meant as an insult, but it still hurt. My sister, Grace, could see what was happening. She called me often, asking how I really was. One day, after Lucas and Olivia spent the whole day rearranging the living room, I broke down on the phone and told her I felt like a stranger in my own home. You need to set boundaries, she said. People won't respect what you don't protect. I knew she was right, but I was too lonely to say no. I missed having someone around, even if they were changing my house. When Lucas asked if they could stay with me for a while because their landlord was selling the building, I wanted to say no, but instead, I heard myself saying yes. It was out of fear of empty rooms, fear of losing the last bits of my family. They moved in on a rainy day. I stood at the door, watching them unload their car. They had boxes labeled baby stuff, summer clothes, and a box marked miscellaneous. That box worried me the most. Miscellaneous things tend to take over. Lucas promised they would pay the bills, buy groceries, and help with repairs. I tried to convince myself it was just a short-term arrangement. The first week was okay. Lucas left for work early every morning, always saying, "Love you, Mom." Olivia would wander around the kitchen after him, making coffee, scrolling through her phone, and leaving her cup on the counter without a coaster. She was polite, but her every move made me feel like she was taking over my space. By the second week, more of their things appeared. There were blankets on the couch, a diffuser in the hallway, and more shoes by the door. I didn't say anything. I just kept cleaning and making room, avoiding conversations I didn't know how to start. One day, when I came back from the grocery store, I found Olivia in my bedroom, measuring the walls. She looked up, startled, and forced a smile. "I'm just checking the dimensions. I read that pregnant women need a room closer to the bathroom, and this one is perfect." I clutched the grocery bags tightly. "Olivia, I haven't agreed to any room changes." She blinked, as if I'd interrupted a well-thought-out plan. "Of course not. We're just thinking ahead. Stress isn't good for the baby." Those words, stress, baby, needs, felt like hooks in my heart. That evening, Lucas tried to reassure me. He sat next to me on the couch, rubbing his forehead. "Mom, she's just excited, and their apartment situation has been tough. We don't want to be a burden." I wanted to believe him, but I could feel myself being pushed out of my own home. A few days later, Olivia rearranged my spice cabinet. She worked quickly, putting the jars in rows that only made sense to her. "Your system was so hard to follow. This will be better for all of us," she said without looking up. The words hung in the air long after she left. Grace visited that weekend. She walked in, looked around the living room, and raised an eyebrow. "When did you get this?" she asked, pointing at a modern painting on the wall. "It's theirs," I said, my voice small. Grace took my hand. "Madison, this isn't temporary to them. You need to see that." But I wasn't ready to face it. Then, Olivia's parents were coming to visit. She announced that they would host dinner at my house. "It'll be easier. Our apartment is a mess, and you have the space," she said, making the decision without even asking me. Lucas looked uncomfortable but didn't say anything. The day of the visit, the living room was hardly recognizable. Olivia had moved my furniture around, put a new throw on the couch, and placed a decorative tray on the coffee table. I felt like an outsider in my own home. When her parents arrived, Olivia greeted them with so much excitement. I stepped forward to welcome them, but Olivia talked over me. Her mother complimented the house, calling it charming, but in a way that made me feel like it was old-fashioned. Her father wiped his shoes on the mat as if he was unsure about the floor. During dinner, the conversation was all about their careers, travel plans, and the upcoming baby. I felt like a ghost, passing dishes that no one really noticed. When dessert was over, Olivia started clearing the plates, and Lucas walked her parents to the door. I stayed in the kitchen, rinsing the dishes. That's when I saw a note from Olivia on the counter. "Thanks for cleaning up, Madison. You're the best." It felt like a slap in the face. In her eyes, I was just a helper, not a part of the family. That night, I called Grace. I sat at the dining table in the dark, tracing the wood grain that Henry had polished years ago. Grace answered on the second ring. "You don't sound good," she said. I took a deep breath. "They used my house like a party hall tonight. I don't even feel like I live here anymore. Grace was quiet for a moment. Madison, you've been too generous. You're losing yourself. I whispered, I don't want to lose Lucas. She said, you won't, but you'll lose yourself if you keep letting them take. I knew she was right, but I was still afraid. A few days later, Olivia announced she was pregnant. The news should have made me happy, and in a way, it did. A grandchild was something Henry would have been overjoyed about. But immediately, Olivia started talking about space and what was best for the baby. She said the master bedroom was the best option for her. Lucas started bringing home paint samples, and they talked about buying a crib as if I wasn't even there. One afternoon, while I was folding laundry in the spare room, I heard them whispering in the hallway. It's just temporary. She'll understand, Lucas said. Olivia sighed. I hope so. I can't be stressed right now. It's not good for the baby. That was the last straw. I realized I couldn't keep silent anymore. So, I'm on my way to see my attorney. I'm done letting them take over my life. I'm going to reclaim my home, and I'm going to protect my peace. When I get back home with Grace, there's a police car behind us. Olivia is standing on the front steps, arms crossed, looking angry. Lucas is standing behind her, looking nervous. I walk past them and say, you need to stop moving things in. This isn't happening. Olivia laughs, as if I'm being silly. Madison, the truck is already here. We're just getting settled before your flight. Don't make a scene. The police officer steps forward. Ma'am, are you the homeowner? I hand him my ID and the notice from my attorney. They're here without my permission, I say, my voice steady. The officer turns to Lucas and Olivia. You've been informed. You can't move in or bring in belongings without the owner's consent. Everything that's been brought in needs to go back on the truck. Olivia's face turns red with anger. Are you serious? She's doing this to her own son. I'm pregnant. The officer doesn't budge. Pregnancy doesn't override property law. Lucas looks at me, and for a moment, I see the old him in his eyes. His anger fades, and he looks uncertain. Olivia keeps arguing, but the officer is firm. In the end, they carry all their things back out. I watch from the doorway, not feeling victorious, just relieved. When the truck drives away, Olivia refuses to look at me. Lucas lingers. Mom, we'll talk later, he says softly. I nod. The house is quiet again, but this time, it feels different. It feels like I'm finally breathing again. I walk through each room, touching the furniture, the walls, and remembering all the good times with Henry. For the first time in a long time, I feel like this house is truly mine again. Weeks pass before Lucas calls. Months pass before he comes to apologize. Eventually, I hold my granddaughter in my arms. Healing takes time, but it's happening on my terms. This house is mine, and my peace is mine. From now on, I'll protect them both.